Diaries of a Madman. Written by What Must I Do? Chapter 11. Summer Wrap-Up, Part 2. When we got to the small booth setup, the mare behind the counter looked up from filing her hoof, and continued looking up, not realizing just how tall her two new customers were. "Oh my," she whispered, her eyes going wide as she realized with whom she was dealing with. "I am here to compete," Luna said. Really?" the chick asked, blinking in surprise. "Yes, really. Is this where I sign up?" Luna asked. Yes, you know what? I think you meet the qualifications," she nervously said. The mayor grabbed a quill and wrote Luna's name on a card, then pushed it to us. "Just give this to the stallion over there by the logs. He'll fill you in." "Excellent." Luna grabbed the card with her magic and began to march off to the throwing line. Of course, I started following, but the mayor stopped me. "Are you also going to compete?" "Nah," I answered. "Just here to watch Luna." She blinked in shock at my informality, but I didn't give her time to ask another question, just continuing to follow Moonbutt. When we got to the guy at the front, who was watching someone prepare to throw, Luna gently cleared her throat, catching the dude's attention. He turned away and blinked. "Can I help you, princess?" he asked her a few seconds. "I was told to give you this," he said, floating the card towards him. He took it in the air and scanned it. "Oh, you're competing. Are you sure?" "Yes. When may I throw?" "After this fellow tosses," he said. "Standard as pony rules, so no magical flying. I suggest stretching before you throw." "Navarone, would you help me remove my shoes?" "You got 'em off yourself last time." "Yes, and that was before I realized that you might be willing to assist." "Sure, but I'm gonna find out if ponies can be ticklish on their hooves while I'm doing it." "I shall manage alone," she said before using magic to pull off each one. That didn't stop her from floating them next to me for safekeeping, however. And I also got the crown, since apparently it's uncouth for something that goes on her head to be in the dirt. And I also held the lamb thing so it wouldn't get dirty. "It's what comes from being friends with royalty, I suppose." As she stretched, I couldn't help but to notice how well-toned she was, despite being in a place that wasn't supposed to have gravity for so long. And since she was turning and stretching in a way that disturbed me, I looked to the fellow throwing the caber instead. It seemed that he finally finished preparing and was lifting the log. I saw the muscles on his body strain as the log lifted, and finally cleared the ground before flying several meters and landing. "Not too bad," the guy controlling the field said, turning back to us. "I suppose I should mention, princess, the goal isn't distance as much as it is technique." "What?" she asked, straightening. "Oh, distance is important," he continued. "But not as important as making sure the log lies pointing towards you. You could throw the thing clear across town, but if it lands poorly, you'll still lose." "That is not what I was expecting," she slowly said, looking at the pile of logs again. "Every pony always says that," he answered, shaking his head. "But it looks like he's done and his throw is scored. You're up, princess." She walked over to the line, pulling one of the large logs to herself. After a few deep breaths, she grabbed it with her two front hooves, leaned back to get some lift, and fucking launched it like a spear. "What the absolute fuck?" It easily cleared the other guy's throw by several meters, thudding into the ground and sliding forward a few feet before collapsing and bouncing, rolling slightly. "That was the strangest buck and throw I have ever seen," the guy said, eyebrows raised. "How was it?" Luna asked, walking back over with a smile. Not that good," he said. "The way it rolled means your score is going to be fairly low, but you definitely get the prize for the farthest throw, if not for the prize for the actual competition." "And that is why I came," she said, her smile becoming triumphant. Where may we claim the prize? Let me just jot your score down. He looked out to the field, where the guy with large cards was showing some messages. The dude quickly wrote the numbers down and nodded. Here you are, he said, handing her a card. Take this back to the booth. Mary will set you up. I could practically hear the pun in her name. It hurt. Come, Nav, she said, turning back to the original chick. You forgetting something? I asked, not moving. She stopped and looked back, noticing her hat, lamb, and shoes. I trust you would not attempt to tickle a poor lady in need, would you? I suppose that's a risk you'd have to be willing to take, I said by way of an answer. Then, will you assist me once again? She asked, lifting one of her front hooves and sticking out her lower lip in a very practiced pout, her eyes growing slightly watery. The guy behind me muttered, I think I just had a heart attack. I rolled my eyes and grabbed the shoes, walking over. First I got rid of the crown, second the lamb. Then I finally fitted her shoe on. You're lucky I'm nice, I said, fitting the second one on. Thank you, Nav, she happily said, grinning. I could already feel the smile forming as I moved around to put her back ones on. The first one was no problem. The second one... Horse hooves have something called a frog in the center. It's for blood circulation and yada yada. These ponies can be ticklish there. So when I safely secured her back leg, I gently stroked her frog. She gasped, her wings shooting straight out. I took that as a sign to keep going, tickling the spot. Soon she was laughing like mad and trying to jerk her leg away from me. I was holding on steadily, making sure she couldn't escape my oppressive grasp easily. Well, until I remembered how strong she was, then I finally stopped. Now, what have we learned? I asked as I fitted on her final shoe, covering up her sensitive underhoof. That thou art a menace, she growled, jerking her head away from me and slapping me with her tail. Damn right, I replied with a nod. Now you ready to drop that card off? She turned her head away from me in a little huff. Man, you ponies are so adorable sometimes, I chuckled. It makes me just want to... I leaned in and snatched her in a hug before she can get away. Unhuff me, she shouted, making no attempt at all to make me to stop. I don't have hooves, sorry, I answered. Then release me at once. Are you gonna stop your little tantrum? I asked. Princesses do not have tantrums, she said. Then why are you so mad? I asked. She didn't reply. After a few seconds, I pulled away smiling. She was just glaring at me. I opened my mouth to say something, but she just turned around and started walking to the booth. Are you suicidal? The caper guy asked as she walked off. I've been considering ever since I got here. Yes. I happily answered before following the irate princess. When we got to the booth, Luna handed a card without a word. Wow, the chick said, her eyebrows lifting. I think that's a new record. A shame about the angle, but it's hard to get that right without a lot of practice. I think it's safe to say that no pony will be beating that distance, though. You definitely deserve a prize. She reached down under the small booth and pulled out the largest stuffed banana that I have ever fucking seen. There's absolutely no way that thing could have fit under the damn booth. Not unless she had some kind of bag of holding or something. Here you are, she happily said, handing the thing over. Luna smiled darkly, taking it. Thank you. I believe you should be the one holding this, Nav, she said, passing it to me. How very fitting. I was suddenly very tempted to throw that fucking banana in her face, but I restrained myself. Instead, I narrowed my eyes slightly and said, Do you want to hear about that time my grandfather and I broke a horse in? Only a horse? She asked, turning back to town. I've broken more species than you have fingers. The chick behind the booth and I just stared at Luna in some manner of horror as she walked away. What the fuck? After what she said, I really didn't want to spend the rest of the day with her. But I was already in deep enough. What's a little more? It didn't take long to catch up with her since she didn't seem to be any manner of a hurry. So, what big events are planned for this day? She asked as we walked back to town. I was slow to answer, thinking about what she said. Jesus, Did she really torture people? There's supposed to be some big competition thing going on, but it started at noon. Pretty sure it's too late for us to enter. Blast. I knew I should have left sooner. No matter. There will be another year. Surely there's more than just that, though. There's a big hoedown near the end of the day, which is considerably less formal dance thing. There are also several rides going on, like that giant ferris wheel there, but that's not really an event. I don't really know what's all going on since I didn't do much to help or pay much attention to the preparations. And there are, of course, plenty of games for us to play. I suppose we shall manage, even without the large competition. We were once again back into town, at this point, so the crowds were getting larger. Still, they parted before us like though we were Pony Moses. Luna's princesses and my freaky alien form probably did it. As she was pondering what she wanted to do and I was not paying attention, a familiar voice called out to us. Nav, sister. We both turned to face the voice, which turned out to be Celestia. She was waving one hoof at us while the other was being held by a stallion, straining as hard as he could to bend it. If I had to guess, I'd say they were hoof wrestling or something stupid like that. With a casual flick of her leg, she slammed the guy's hoof onto the table, then stood and walked over to us. How are you enjoying the festival? She asked, looking over to the prizes we had and smiling. It is most entertaining, I said, not sounding overly enthusiastic. Not really my thing, I said with a shrug. You having fun with yourself? Looks like that stallion sure ain't. Oh, it is a way to get closer to my subjects, she said, turning her head slightly towards the guy. Say, would you happen to be interested in a match? She asked me. Nope. That is a shame. Well, I don't want to keep every pony waiting, she said with a shrug. I hope you two enjoyed the rest of the festival. You aren't going to offer me a match? Luna pointedly asked. Oh, Luna, Celestia laughed. Of course we may compete, if you want. I don't think every pony would mind waiting an extra minute or two. Excellent. Luna practically growled, her horn lighting up. Once again, my hands were stuffed with a lamb and crown. She only took off one of her shoes, though, and left it on the ground next to me. Together, the two of them walked over to the table and took their seats. Why do I have a feeling that table is about to break? I muttered to myself as they both propped their legs onto the table before them. Are you ready, sister? Celestia asked with a smile, their hooves meeting. Indeed. Then let us begin. Their muscles both instantly began straining, which was actually somewhat freaky to watch. Honestly, I'm somewhat surprised you would choose to do this, Celestia said, not sounding like she was even exerting herself. And why is that? Luna said, sounding slightly more strained. Oh, I think you know why, Celestia said, her eyes flicking to me for a second. What? After numerous examples over the years, I thought you would have realized that size truly does matter when it comes to strength. Perhaps, Celestia suddenly pushed, sending Luna's hoof a few inches closer to the table. But there is more than one measure of strength. With a thunderous crack, the table shattered, sending both of them to the ground. Luna took advantage of the sudden surprise by sending a surge of strength down her hoof, bringing Celestia to the edge of ruin. But being on the edge is not being over the edge. I believe that some would call that cheating, Celestia exhaled, her smile slipping. It was hardly my fault the table broke, Luna answered. Perhaps it was your oversized leg that did it. There are many cultures that find larger women very appealing, Celestia said, her grin turning sly and her eyes once again flicking to me. Luna's eyes and ears twitched to her surprise and let Celestia recover slightly. This shit's getting weird. Maybe it's time to step in? Actually, I'm not going to interrupt two really powerful people when they're in a pissing match. But you can do it, Luna, I called, figuring I could give her at least some kind of support. Even though, you know, she was fucking retarded for even trying. I mean, Celestia is huge. Both their eyes flicked to me. It seems some disagree with that, Luna said, smiling darkly. Loyalties die hard, Celestia replied, pushing Luna's hoof a few more inches. Man, she really is gonna lose. Unless... Use your freaky hair, I called to them. Celestia probably had no idea what I meant by that, Luna, however, had a better idea. For good reason, perhaps. Luna grunted, her freaky moving hair starting to tilt towards Celestia. What are you... Celestia's face got a face full of hair, distracting her slightly, and when she shook her head enough to get it away, her eyes narrowed. Two can play at that... Oh! It seems Luna's starry mane found a more sensitive spot under Celestia's front legs, and it seemed that the Sun Princess was quite ticklish, given that she began flinching and laughing as Luna's hair gently teased her. Cheater! She managed to say between laughs, giggling like crazy. With that distraction, Luna was very easily able to slam Celestia's hoof to the ground. You lose, sister, he triumphantly said, letting go and standing up. You cheated, Celestia said from the ground, still red-faced from the ticklish menace. Your hoof is in the dirt, is it not? Luna asked. And I was given no rules. There was no cheating when the only goal is to win, with no guidelines stated. You'll never impress any pony like that, Celestia said, rolling her eyes and standing. Her pristine white coat was now very much more dirty. But what do you really expect from going to a fair? Perhaps. Now, what did I win? Nothing, Celestia answered with a smirk. There wasn't a prize for this competition. Figures. Come, Nav. Perhaps we can find somebody more sporting with which to compete. Have fun, you two, Celestia said, her normal motherly tone coming back. Ugh, having fun. See you later, I replied with a nod. Have fun pulling a train. Oh, that game is for another festival, she said, thankfully not getting what I meant. I'll see you back at the palace, sister. Until then, Luna said, nodding and starting to walk away. I joined her, hearing Celestia say, Now who's next? As she walked back to the remainder of the table. Want to have a miserable day just to spite her? I asked. No, Luna said. And I shouldn't have antagonized her anyway. Hey, at least you won. Though I'm surprised you did it anyway. I guess sibling rivalry never dies. I likely would not have succeeded if not for your suggestion, she commented, gently bumping into me as we walked. Nothing wrong with cheating, I said, shrugging. Anyway, I'm getting tired of holding all this shit. Want to just drop it off to the library and then keep going? That is acceptable, though every pony would no longer be able to see our success. So far, we've only gone to games that you can play. All I've been doing is moral support. I mean, I'm okay with that, but none of the success has been mine. If you desire to play one of these games, all you need to do is say so, she said, looking down the row of games we were passing. I'm okay with not doing that. The ones back home killed my desire to really do much, since a lot of them were plain unfair. And from the looks of things here, it's the same way. See that ball toss game? I asked, running over to one of the booths. Her eyes looked over there. The ball is really light and the targets are full of weights. It's possible to knock them over, but it's much harder than it should be. The game of horseshoe we passed? The shoes are weighted in different areas, meaning each throw is inconsistent. And most of the games of chance, like throwing a ball into one of the right cups, are made specifically to scam people who don't know how statistics work. Sure, it's possible to win, and I've done it a few times, but good fucking luck actually doing it. You can tell how hard one of the games is by looking at the possible prizes. The more expensive or larger they are, the more impossible the game is. That's to entice more people to come and play. Luna took some time to consider my words, looking around at the games as we passed. Such dishonesty, she said, shaking her head in disappointment. How can such a place exist? Because it makes people happy to actually play the games, win or lose. If they lose, it gives them a solidarity, knowing that just about everything lost because the game is unfair. But if they win, they beat the odds and got something cool out of it. It's a money sink, but it's one that's fun, and you'd be hard-pressed to find a free hobby. Anyway, so, what's the harm here? I don't know if she really bought it, but at least she wasn't going to go hammer crazy and start trying to ban fairs or something. I suppose it is a good thing that there is more to do than just the games, she finally said, casting her eyes around and letting them stop at certain booths. Even if some are less normal than others. I followed her eyes and saw that she was looking at a kissing booth. A very slutty-looking mare sitting on the other side. Just the thought of that made me shudder. Ugh. Yeah. Plenty of rides, though. And I think the Wonder Boats are supposed to be doing some stunts all day. But I'm not really interested in that. And of course, there's all kinds of shows going on. Music, talent stuff, weird little magic shows, puppet shows. I'm just not interested in most of it. What are you interested in then? Why did you decide to come away from your dwelling? Spending time with a good friend, I answered with a shrug, earning a smile I knew it would. And also, Twilight threatened to do something to me if I stayed antisocial today. Good. It would be most shameful to lock yourself away during such an event, especially since I am here. Self-flattery, huh? If you say so. Thankfully, it didn't take us much longer to get to the library. I dropped all the stuff off in my room, including her tiara and shoes so she wouldn't have to keep removing them for everything. Of course, that was probably unnecessary, since I don't think she really wanted to play games anymore after what I said. Still, at least it was easier to look at her as more of a horse without them. So what manner of rides are available? She asked when we got back outside. Log ride, ferris wheel, a few small roller coasters, a drop tower. I think there might be a tunnel of love, a pendulum, a carousel, a teacup ride, bumper cars, a few slides. Might be a few others. And what would you suggest? Do you want to get wet? The way her head shot to face me, I think she might have misunderstood me. The log ride involves water. Oh, I do not mind water. Then let's start there. The other stuff will dry us off. And so I led her through the list of rides, skipping the obvious ones, so no bumper cars. She was too big to fit in them. No teacup, same reason. No carousel. She took one look and started giggling. And no tunnel of love because ew. Our last stop was by the Ferris wheel. By that point, the sun was starting to get lower on the last day of summer, casting an interesting shade of colors across the sky. The hoedown had already begun, so there weren't large lines for some of the rides we hit up. It was feeling like a nice end to the interesting day. So, what do you think? I asked as we slowly spun across the sky. This was fun, she said, smiling. 'Tis a shame we didn't get to partake in actual competition, but there was always next year. Yeah, just make sure not to get here so late. I doubt I shall have that issue. We lapsed into silence at that point, watching the fair unfold before us. After some time, I felt her shift on the seat next to me, but I didn't look over that way. Do you regret it? She finally asked. Sometimes, I answered, still not looking at her. It was obvious what she meant. I don't belong here, but everyone is doing a good job of making me not think about it. And having some really good friends helps. It's not as bad as it used to be. Do you ever consider actually making a life here? Twilight Sparkle sends in her letters that you seem lost, untethered, aimless. Do you not desire something to hold you down? I don't know. She shifted again and I flinched when her wing and front leg wrapped around my shoulder. Have you considered finding a mare? She asked. Oh, God. Unfortunately, I had a feeling by a mare she meant herself. Her other hoof on my cheek cut me off as she turned my face towards hers. This is bad. Gotta find a way out. Unfortunately, I felt my mind blank and all I could do was lean back as she loomed closer, presumably trying to go for a kiss. Thank which God was listening, the ride shuddered to a stop at that point, with us at the very bottom. Ride's over, the operator said, releasing our restraint. As soon as Luna realized we were being watched, she stopped with her shit and let me go. You two, have fun? The guy asked, realizing what he might have interrupted. Yes, Luna answered. I didn't have anything to say, so I just hopped off and started walking. Luna didn't take much time at all to catch up with me. We walked in silence. Awkward silence on my part. I was completely horrified at the thought that Luna just had a kind of crush on me. Jesus. How would she take it if I told her I wasn't even close to interested? Nav. Yo, Nav! A new voice called. I took the hint of salvation with glee, starting to see Rainbow Dash and Fluttershy walking over from our way from one of the roads of the dance thing. And hey, princess, she said with a small bow, not even close to the one she'd give Celestia. You two heading to the hoedown? She asked me. It's going real good now. Then why are you leaving? I asked. Just taking a little breather here with Fluttershy here, she said. Yeah, I know how she is. We're gonna be heading back soon though, if you're interested. To risk going to a large dance thing versus possibly being alone with Luna. I guess I could, I said. Cool. I can't wait to see all those cool human moves of yours, she said with a smile. Sadly, Luna wasn't going to give up so easily. Would you perhaps be interested in walking me back to the library to get my things first? She asked me. It would not do for me to be seen in such a way without getting my tiara and shoes. I sent a pleading look to Dash's way, hoping she'd get the message. Hey, we'll walk with you too, she said, pulling through for me. I know Fluttershy here wouldn't mind being away for a little longer, right? Well, actually, let's get going. Dash continued over her with a smile. Very well, Luna coldly said, her mouth shutting with an audible click. And so we began walking. I tried to keep some distance between myself and Luna, but she didn't seem to be wanting to have any of that, making sure to walk right next to me. Rainbow Dash and Fluttershy either didn't notice anything wrong or didn't dare say anything. Either way, the two of them were talking about what they had done all day, and though I wasn't paying them any attention, Dash was talking about the Wonderbolts or something, and how they were doing stunts and looking for some cool flyers to hang out with. That is until... Do you hear that? Fluttershy asked, stopping in her tracks. Yeah, what? Dash asked. It sounds like... a critter. Fluttershy answered with a smile, turning to look behind us. Sure enough, I could hear something pounding after us, though it didn't sound like anything I'd be happy to see. After hearing Fluttershy's squeal of horror and turning around to see what kind of manner of creature it was, I understood why. Holy shit, it's a dingo neck! The monster was running straight towards us, towards me. Fluttershy immediately jumped behind one of the booths next to us, hiding from the beast. Dash up and fucking vanished, flying off to who knows where. Luna jumped forward, a dark smile forming on her face as the beast ignored all of them and seemed to run right at me. I shall defend thee, Luna said, charging towards the monster. Wait, we have wings! I shouted, trying to get her to just fly up with me so it couldn't reach us, instead of trying to fight the thing by hand. She didn't listen, and that didn't matter since it wasn't even looking at her. So when she got in front of it, she whirled around and bucked it in the face, actually sending it reeling, even though it was covered in scales. She turned back and started moving forward, continuing to attack the thing. It still wasn't paying her much mind, but it didn't have to. Right after Luna pushed it back a few feet and jumped forward to press her advantage, Rainbow Dash fucking crashed into her from above, sending both of them into the dirt. Oh shit, learn to correct your fucking aim, Dash! Of course, with Luna out of its way, it had a straight line to continue barreling towards me. I lifted my wings in an attempt to take off, but there was no way I had enough time. The last thing I saw before entering a whole new world of pain was its glassy eyes, staring at me in some form of confusion. A very calm, slice of life chapter, and then suddenly mortal terror. Gosh, what a chapter. However, just like my other recordings I've done recently, I am still sick / allergies, don't know what. And I'm sorry if the voices sound weird, I am doing my best, but this is good enough for me to at least record and put something out, because I really hate leaving a series on with longer than 2 weeks, and I think the last DMM was 3 weeks ago, so I'm sorry about that. However, those who are far too kind are my wonderful Patreons. Thank you, my tier 1s, Balance Kindness, Jason Master, Journalist, Portal, Hyperlink, Jason, HH4, Texture, 9 Game, Carryo, Pony Entertainment, Starlight Blaze, and Rain Flicker. My tier 2 is Captain Blue Shadow, Chaotic Mist, The Animated Ghost, DJ Mix 2000, Elemental Wolf, H1 Wolf King, Potato 20, Mr. Crazy Deacon, Solar Comet, Mackenzie McCullough, Nocturne, Papa Lennon, Redeemer of Dark, Solus Eclipse, Swordbrother, and Mordred, Artie Bryant, and Rihanna Dragonwolf. A large thank you to my previous Titan tiers, Dark Guardian, Danish Dash, and Maverick. And a large thank you to my current ones, User 1842 and Silent Titan. I appreciate your guys' support so much, and it means a ton to me. That aside, however, this has been Firehearth. Have a wonderful day.